Hey everyone, and welcome back to another VR news recap, going over not only the major stories over the past few days, but also giving a platform to those lesser seen. Today, however, we do have a few stories that I hear numerous opinions on, so I am looking forward to the discussion down in the comments. Today, we have Oculus being absolutely clueless, PCVR struggle and hope, an expiring sale to get the Oculus Quest 2 even cheaper, seriously, and more. Also, if this content was useful to you or you enjoyed it at all, hitting that subscribe button is the best way to see more. I hope you enjoy the video, y'all. We start today with a little bit of fun and VR doing what it can do. It can make things that we already love in one way and make them possibly even better. And this example would be Among Us has been recreated in Rec Room, and honestly, it's a pretty damn good time. Among Us is a game many of us know, but the TLDR is it's a social game of 10 players on a space station. Within that group, there is an imposter whose goal is to kill crewmates and generally just cause a lot of problems, as the rest of the crew has to finish tasks. As crew members, emergency meetings can be called and you can vote possible imposters out, and other than that, it's a pretty straightforward game, and this can all be found now in Rec Room. Of course, this is not a one-to-one recreation of the game. There's plenty of small things and items missing that make the original much more tense, but this is a great example of VR bridging that gap. It can take something popular through traditional gaming and show us how VR can be used to lead to more fun and something that we already love. Have you tried it? Let us know your thoughts on it down in the comments. Let's jump into the first topic of discussion, and a whole bunch of bias incoming, I admit that. But let's talk sharing VR and what you all think matters to get others watching more VR content. Many of you remember that I was looking forward to this segment at Facebook Connect, that being Greg Smith speaking on enabling influencers and sharing. The entire point of how developers and influencers can better share VR content with their bases. The majority of the video focuses around the strengths of MRC, mixed reality capture, and while it is extremely important in some situations, mainly game trailers to me it seems like Oculus is completely clueless on what really helps make VR content watchable for long periods of time. Mixed reality capture is a great way to show what it's like to be in VR, however, it does depend greatly on the game. Beat Saber, it looks great. A lot of first-person shooters, well, they just look terrible. People are very comfortable watching first person with or without cam, and I don't personally think VR gameplay is any different, but again, it's a whole lot of bias here. I really think a majority of people would rather see it as first person than mixed reality capture for long form content, with many of us we're just hoping for better streaming tools, especially with the Oculus Quest, better screen stabilization for a better viewing experience, and 100% the most important item lacking right now is the easy ability to have chat viewable by the VR user. Sure, there's some tools out there, but Oculus adding something native should be priority one for meaningful engagement that's easy to do. I'd throw a poll up if I could anymore, but they took that away. But when it comes to streaming, what are your thoughts? Is it better in first person? Is it better with mixed reality capture? I'm interested in those with less bias than me on what you prefer moving forward. Also, let's talk about an interesting discussion between Guy Godin, the creator of Virtual Desktop, and the YouTube channel VR365, with a focus on the PCVR sales side. Here is a clip from their podcast that I really enjoyed.
Where is the PCVR games going to come from?
That's a good question. From what I hear, the sales on PC VR are about maybe a tenth of what you get on Quest. So anybody who makes a game today can target PC VR, but they can expect a tenth of the revenue they'll get if they make one on mobile. So it's tough.
So this is probably bad news or okay news depending on who you are, because let's be honest, this is mostly unpleasant news to old school VR enthusiasts who grew up with PC VR mostly. Like me, we are just, it's hard to change, guys. It's hard to change. And mostly this is no duh news from those starting with the Oculus Quest. It's all about perspective. A couple thoughts here that I'm curious how VR users see PCVR moving forward. On one hand, this discrepancy in sales could lie in the storefronts themselves. The Steam store is absolutely plastered with VR shovelware. It's honestly terrible, and visibility is near impossible, while the Oculus Quest store has, I don't know, plus or minus 100 or so games, with new launches being very, very visible. PCVR has always had and continues to have more barriers to entry, that being cost usually, and having to have a VR-ready PC and on top of that buy the VR hardware, it's very cumbersome compared to a $300 all-in-one unit. As I'm saying all this, I know it's a no-dust situation, but what I'm curious to hear, how are devs going to handle PCVR moving forward in your opinion? Are heavy hitters like Half-Life Alyx a thing of the past? One thing to note is Wi-Fi 6 has been confirmed to be supported with the Oculus Quest 2, which may provide a little incentive to PCVR devs with an added player base who could be using virtual desktop a little bit better. Let me know your thoughts. But what if you could get the Oculus Quest 2 on the low, real cheap, say like $230-ish? Well, that is actually possible thanks to this alert by a Reddit user at Target, but this is an expiring offer, so act quickly. This week only, you can get 10% off one item enrolling in the Red Circle membership, which is free to do at Target and is easy enough to create a new account even if you already have one. Also, they are running a special for Red Card members for an additional 5% off. They're already everyday 5% discount for members. And finally, if you're willing to fudge your birthday, Karen, they give you 5% off for your birthday as well. All this you have plus or minus around a $230 Oculus Quest 2 64GB version. Of course, regional pricing and sales will vary, so this may not be applicable to all, but if you haven't pre-ordered yet or already did, it may be worth looking into getting this because it's one hell of a deal. Now, I've checked a few times while editing this video and they still look to be in stock, and I as well ended up paying about $242 after taxes for my Oculus Quest through the Target site by using all of this. In a nutshell, a standalone VR headset with a Snapdragon XR2 chipset, better than the original Quest in most ways, for only $230-ish. It's kind of insane. I remember how much I spent in the early days of VR, and I'm happy those barriers to VR, mostly the price, are allowing more and more people to enjoy the freedom VR can bring. I can dig that. I have debated a couple of times if I wanted to talk about this segment because it involves some dicey subjects that always just lead to problems in the comments, and we're talking the touchy subjects, not the good touchy, the bad touchy, that being politics and things like that, so fair warning here. But instead of focusing on the content that you may agree with or disagree with, let's focus on the ever-growing practicality of VR being used for more than just gaming, because that's what we're highlighting here. VR, guys, there's more than just games out there, and these are two of the biggest highlights recently, winners, that proved that VR really has a lot of uses. The first one I want to highlight is We Live Here, which introduces us to Rocky, a 59-year-old woman who has been living in a tent in a park for almost 3 years. In this interactive VR experience, you will be asked to interact with Rocky's objects and through them, learn of her life, her stories. You will come to understand you are not so different than her. You will understand that even you, through a series of misfortunes, could find yourself just like Rocky, homeless. I remember a VR experience similar to this in the sense that it puts you in an uncomfortable situation where you stayed in a prison cell with a convicted felon, and that was as well an experience that without VR, I thankfully would never have experienced in person, but virtually, it was a must. This is a free experience that can be sideloaded to any headset. And if you did pay attention, the Venice Film Festival or the 2020 Emmy Awards, you may have noticed a VR experience took home an Emmy, that being The Messy Truth. The Messy Truth VR experience is an original virtual reality series, and it puts viewers in the shoes of other people from other walks of life and communities that very well may be unfamiliar to you. Utilizing VR, the viewer sees through the eyes in this episode of a 12-year-old African-American boy as he and his dad are pulled over by the police. This scenario portrayed in this experience is based on a real-life incident with research provided by Time magazine. Also, it's not just a simple 360-degree video. The piece used leap motion hand tracking to put you in the body of the character. Again, the APK is available for this one to be sideloaded on any headset. These two specific examples may not be for you, I get that, but uses like this will always cause some division, but I hope to see more and more of this. VR used more than just for gaming. I was almost done editing and forgot this one segment. Did you know that SideQuest is officially going to be integrated into the Oculus headset itself? I think this is fantastic news, and Shane Harris, the developer behind SideQuest, has kind of the same thoughts. I think he sums it up pretty damn well. With the updated system, it will be easier to get content to users. We currently have 6 steps that are outside of our control, when onboarding new users. The new update not only eliminates those steps, it promises better first-party benefits for developers. This enables users to engage more with the content on SideQuest like they do with apps from the Oculus Store, providing a much smoother experience. While we are anxious like everyone else about the recent changes at Facebook, it's hard not to see this as a huge win for indie developers, and I tend to agree. The easier it is for people to enjoy the benefits that SideQuest has provided to so many already, that's a win. Ease of access will always be king, and SideQuest, you are a blessing to the Oculus Quest platform. But that's going to be it for today. If you did enjoy this video at all, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to see more. That is the best way to see more. And as always, everybody, see you next time, Space Cowboys.